Hey there, amazing fourth graders. Today's lesson is 6.5 and it's in your workbook on page 267. So I want you can put it on pause. I want you to get your workbook, a pencil, and maybe some extra paper because there's going to be some problems I want to do with you, and then I'm going to want you to do them and pause this video, and then we're going to come back and check them together. This is new material because we're going to be adding and subtracting with fractions greater than 1. So this is almost like when we're doing subtraction and we have to regroup when we don't have enough ones, we have to go to the tens. So it's quite similar. Like I said, everything in math is patterns. So if you want to pause right now to go get your workbook, a pencil, and maybe some extra paper, that might be a great thing to do because then I want to start with a little review. All right, let's review a little bit from our last lesson. And remember, it's important to keep up with these lessons because they build on each other. Remember, a fraction is an equal part of a whole or a group. It's got a top numerator, a bottom denominator. And we've been pretty good with that. And then we got into something which was called a fraction greater than a whole. Because when it's a whole, my top numerator, my bottom denominator are the same. Denominator, 4 pieces. My top numerator, I'm referencing 4 of those. So whenever my top and bottom number are the same, that equals 1 whole. So we've talked about fractions, and then a fraction greater than a whole, which would be, I'm going to take that 4/4 and I'm going to do 6/4. Fraction greater than a whole, because I know 4 of them make a whole, and I have 6. So the easiest way to do that is 6 divided by 4 equals 1 remainder 2. So 6/4 equals 1 whole. 2 pieces that remain or are left, and what size are they? Fourths. So 6/4, which is a fraction greater than a whole, is equivalent or the same as 1 whole and 2/4, or a mixed number. And in the last lesson, we switched back and forth between fractions greater than a whole and mixed numbers. Let's do a quick review because that's going to come into play in a little bit when we start adding and subtracting. Remember, pause anytime you need to go back and review again. So let's take a look at 43/5. Whoa, that's a fraction way greater than a whole because I know I only need 5 pieces to make a whole. So how would I make that into a mixed number? That means 43 pieces divided by 5, because I need 5 pieces to make a whole. 43 divided by 5 is 8, remainder 3. 8 wholes, 3 pieces left, and they're fifths. And remember, math is patterns and inverses help us solve things. So let's take a look at 8 3/5 and turn that into that fraction greater than a whole. 5 pieces to make a whole. I have 8 wholes, so that means 8 times 5 to make the whole. That's 40 plus my 3 plus 3. So it's 43, and what size are they? Fifths. Oh, that's pretty cool. It kind of works back and forth. Let's try another one. 17/3. Fraction greater than a whole. We're going to make that a mixed number. If you want to pause and try it by yourself, that might be something to do right now. And how did you solve it? 17 divided by 3 because it takes 3 pieces to make a whole. So 3 times what number gets me really close? 5, which is 15, remainder 2. 5 wholes, 2 pieces left, and they're thirds. How would I check that? I would check that 5 times 3 to make the wholes plus 2. 5 times 3 are 15, plus the 2 are 17. And what size pieces? Thirds. That's really cool how it works back and forth. And if we go in the opposite direction, 2 1/5, which is a mixed number, we're going to turn that into an improper fraction or a fraction greater than a whole, which means my bottom denominator is going to be 5. I'm going to turn this all into fifths. I have 2 wholes, and it takes 5 pieces to make a whole. So it means 2 times 5 to get my 2 wholes plus my 1. 2 times 5 are 10, plus 1 are 11. 11 fifths are equivalent to 2 1/5. I'm going to leave that up there. And let's go 6 2/3. If you want to pause and try this on yourself, you can. And then we'll come back and solve it. My bottom denominator are thirds. I have 6 wholes, so that means 6 times 3 to make 6 wholes. Plus I have 2/3, plus 2. 6 times 3 are 18, plus my 2, 20. 20 thirds. And if I do that backwards, just to check, remember inverse checks. 20 divided by 3 equals 6, remainder 2. 6 2/3. It's all related. Now I want you to take a look at your workbook page 267. We're going to do a couple problems together, and then I want to try some on your own. So get that out, get your pencil out, and maybe some paper on the side if you need to. So we're going to be adding and subtracting with fractions greater than 1. So let's look at number 1. 8 fifths plus 3 fifths. Sounds pretty easy. 8 fifths plus 3 fifths. My bottom denominator is 5. 5 pieces in a whole. Easy enough. And then I'm going to add my numerator. 8 plus 3 are 11 fifths. What is that? Fraction greater than a whole. I need to simplify that. That means turn that into a mixed number. So how do I do that? 5 pieces for a whole, I have 11. That means 11 divided by 5 equals 2 remainder 1. That means 2 wholes, 1 piece left, and they're fifths. Equals 2 1/5. Let's look at number 2. 6 ninths plus 12 ninths. My bottom denominator is ninths. That stays the same. I have 6 plus 12. 6 plus 12 are 18 ninths. This one looks pretty easy because I know my multiples. Fraction greater than a whole. How do I do that? 18 divided by 9 equals 2. That's 2 wholes. Let's go to, the subtraction ones are quite easy. Number 3 is 10 sevenths minus 3 sevenths. So my denominator stays the same at 7. 10 minus 3 are 7. What do I know about 7 sevenths? 7 pieces for the whole, and I have 7 of those pieces. Whenever my numerator and denominator are the same, what does that equal? 1. That's right, we're simplifying it. So I want you to take a minute and do 4, 5, and 6 on your own in your workbook. Put this video on pause and then come back in a second and we'll check our work together. All right, let's go over number 4, 10/8 plus 7/8. Denominator is 8. My pieces are 8s. 10 plus 7, 17. Fraction greater than a whole. 17 divided by 8 equals, there's 2 8s in there, remainder 1, equals 2 1/8. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't get it right, that's okay. We're going to keep practicing. So it goes from a fraction greater than a whole to a mixed number. Let's try number 5. 9/6 minus 4/6. Bottom denominator is 6, stays the same. 9 minus 4, 5. 5/6. That one was pretty easy. And let's try number 6 together. Number 6 is 19/10. Wow, that's a fraction greater than a whole. Minus 7/10. Denominator is tenths. 19 minus 7 are 12. What do I know about 12/10? You're right, it's a fraction greater than a whole. 10 pieces to make a whole, I have 12. 12 divided by 10, there's 1 10 in there, and there's 2 left, equals 1 whole and 2 tenths. So if you got those right, awesome job, you're following along. Now we're gonna try something that's a little bit harder, so really, really focus on this, but I know you guys can do it. Let's look at number 7. We're adding 2 3/5 plus 1 1/5. Oh, now we're adding mixed numbers where we have wholes and we have fractions. Whenever we do this, we work with the fractional piece first. So we have 3/5 plus 1/5. That's easy enough. That's 4/5. Then I add my wholes. 2 plus 1 are 3. Oh, nothing to it. But keep paying attention. It's going to get a little bit harder. Let's look at number 8. Number 8 is 1 2/5 plus 3 4/5. Remember, we add the fractional pieces first. 2/5 plus 4/5. That's 6/5. Then I'm going to add, wait a minute, 6/5. What is that? That's a fraction greater than a whole, isn't it? Because I only need 5 pieces. 6 divided by 5 equals 1, remainder 1. So I'm going to take that whole 1 and I'm going to put it up here. And I have 1/5 left. So I have 3, 4, 5, and 1/5. We can do it that way. Or 6/5 is 1 1/5. And I could do 4 plus 1 1/5. I'm going to show you that way again. Maybe we'll start the easier way and then get a little bit harder. So if I were to go back that way and I have 6/5, I know 6/5, 6 divided by 5 equals 1, remainder 1. 6/5 is 1 1/5. And 3 plus 1 is 4. So I could do 4 plus 1 1/5 equals 5 1/5. I kind of like to switch it right here and do it that way, but it's up to you. We're going to practice both ways. And again, you're always going to find patterns. You're going to find what works for you. Let's look at number 9. 3 5/8 plus 1 3/8. We're talking about eighths. My denominator, the size pieces, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 8/8 right there. What do I know that is? Top number, bottom number, numerator, denominator the same, means 1 whole. So I'm going to cross out that fraction and I'm just going to put a whole up there in my whole. So I have 3, 4, plus my other one is 5. My answer is 5. Number 10, 5 2/3 plus 2 2/3. Might be a good time to pause it and try answering that yourself, and we'll come back and correct it together. Great, let's see how you did. 2/3 plus 2/3 are 4/3. Whoa, right there, 4/3, fraction greater than a whole. How many do I need to make a whole? 3. 4 divided by 3 equals 1, remainder 1. I can take that 1 and put it up here. My 1 remainder is 1/3. So I have 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 1/3. Now let's go down to the next ones. Number 11. 5 6/8 minus 3 3/8. Now we're subtracting. It's going to get a little bit tricky here, so really pay close attention. Again, we always start with our fractions. 6/8 minus 3/8. If I have 6 out of the 8 pieces, I can take 3 away. So that would be 3/8. 5 minus 3 is 2. My answer is 2 3/8. That's easy. Let's try the next one. The next one is going to be a little bit different. We're going to have to do some regrouping. So pay close attention to number 12 in your book. 6 2/8 minus 4 5/8. So I have 2/8 and I'm taking 5/8 away. That's almost like 2 minus 5. Can't do it. So I need to get some more eighths. So I'm going over to my whole numbers. 1 less than 6 is 5. We've done that before. But now I need fractional pieces. But remember, I'm not just going to add the 1 to there because there's 8 pieces in a whole. So I'm going to add those 8 pieces, whatever my denominator is, tells me how many pieces I'm adding to the numerator. So it would be 8 plus 2. So 8 plus 2 becomes 10/8. Now I'm ready. 10/8 minus 5/8. 5/8. 5 minus 4 is 1. My answer is 1 5/8. Let's try that again. That's kind of cool. I'm not going to do one in the book though because I want to do a different denominator. So this one's not in your book, but let's watch. 3 1/5 minus 1 3/5. I start with my fractional pieces first. So I have 1/5 and I want to take 3/5 away from it. So it's almost like 1 minus 3. Can't do it. I need some more fifths. So what do? I go over to all my whole pieces and I take one of those and my denominator tells me I need 5 pieces to make a whole. So I'm getting a whole, so I'm adding that 5 to the one I have up there already. 1 plus 5. So now I have 6/5 minus 3/5. 6 minus 3, 3/5. 2 minus 1, 1. My answer's 1 3/5. Cool, I like it. Let's try one more. Ooh, this is fun. 6 1/4 minus 2 3/4. My denominator is fourths. I have one of those, I'm taking 3 away. Can't do it. So I need some more fourths. I go over to the wholes, I have 6 of them. I'm taking one of those wholes, and since my bottom denominator tells me I need 4 pieces for a whole, I'm adding those 4 pieces to the one I already have. So my 1 plus my 4 more makes 5. 5/4. 5/4 minus 3. 2/4. 5 minus 2, 3. 3 2/4. Oh, that's so cool. I love it. Going back into our book, I think we left off on 13. Let's look at number 13. 4 1/5 minus 1 3/5. My denominator is fifths. I need some more. This would be a good time to pause it. Try solving this yourself, and we'll come back and take a check. All right, let's look and see what you did. 1/5 minus 3/5, don't have enough. So I'm going to go to my wholes. Now I have 3. And what am I going to add to this one up here? Because how many pieces? My denominator tells me I need how many pieces? 5. So I'm adding 5 to that 1. So I have 6/5 minus 3/5. 6 minus 3 are 3/5. 3 minus 1 are 2. If you got 2/5, whoa, good job. If you did, that's okay. This is new. We're going to keep practicing. All right, guys, we're going to practice. Let's go down to, what are we going to do? Number 14. Number 14, 5 1/6 minus 3 4/6. If you want to pause right now, that's cool, because I love your enthusiasm. I love that you're catching on, knowing that it's patterns and inverse and everything's related. So you can pause now and then come back and see how we do. Coming back, we have 6. I can't take 4 away from 1, so I need to get some more 6. Take 1 away from the 5, it's 4. My bottom denominator tells me how many pieces are in a whole, 6 of them, because I'm taking 1 whole. So 6 plus the 1 that's up here, 7, 6. 7 minus 4 are 3. 4 minus 3 are 1. 1 3/6. That's so super. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. I want you to look at 15, 16, and 17. I want you to try and solve those 3 problems by yourself. Put this video on pause. Really focus. If you need to go back and look at how we did these before, go ahead. But pause and try 15, 16, and 17 on your own. All right, let's take a look at 15. Was 6 2/7 minus 1 5/7. Hopefully you saw that we needed 7ths, and I needed 5 from 2, so I didn't have enough. The 6 became a 5, and I added 7 to the 2, so it's 9/7. 9 minus 5 is 4. 5 minus 1 is 4 as well. 4 and 4/7 for number 15. You guys are rock stars. Kind of gives you the answer on there already. So it tells you to explain the solution. So what you're explaining, how you went and you took a whole and you turned it into a fraction. Remember, when your top numerator is the same as the bottom denominator, that's one whole. So I'm always adding my pieces on the bottom, my denominator, to whatever I have on the top for the numerator. So good luck with those. Keep practicing, practicing, practicing. Go back and watch this video. And then I also included a Google Doc. I have a Google Doc with 5 problems I want you to work on. And go back and watch the video. See how they're related. See how I'm going back and forth between fractions greater than a whole to a mixed number. 16 divided by 3 is 5, remainder 1 and 1/3. How I go from a mixed number, 4 and 2/5, to a fraction greater than a whole. 4 times 5 are 20 plus 2, 22/5. I need to see how to switch back and forth. I need to see the patterns, the relationships. Keep working, and if you have questions, give me a call.